I think GEG, don't get me wrong, it is symbolic. It is actually good, but there are so many flaws. It needs to be implemented correctly. It needs to have the right method on tackling this issue as well.
The missing of the proper regulation, actually you put consumer in danger perspective and also
Correct.
in danger conditions. So I think yes, we do success, Khairil. We managed to remove the generational endgame,
At the moment.
generation clause at the moment. But however, we still missing the proper regulations in Malaysia.
Hello, world. Welcome to the Vaping Unplugged podcast. Everything you need to know about vaping and tobacco harm reduction.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Vaping Unplugged. As you know, we're discussing vaping globally, and today we will be talking about the current situation in Malaysia. Actually, we have some good news. The Generational Endgame bill was withdrawn, and to learn more about what happened in Malaysia, we invited Tarmizi from the Consumer Choice Center and Khairil from the Malaysian Vapers Alliance. Thank you very much, both of you, for making it to our podcast today. And I'm thrilled to listen more to our victory, Vapor's victory, I would say, in Malaysia.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to have those sorts of discussions. So let's start talking about, before we dive deeper into the GEG bill, I want to ask you personally, just as an introduction, maybe we could start with Khairil, because I know you've been doing a great work recently in Malaysia. You launched a bus tour, you were talking to vapers, consumers. So maybe you could update our listeners since you were here last time in the podcast too. What changed? What were the main takeaways from the bus tour, and what have MBA been up to so, so right now?
Sure, sure. So yeah, regarding the bus tour, I mean the tour that we embarked, basically just to update, it wasn't really a bus tour because we couldn't really get a bus to go around as well. So instead, we go around Malaysia. We embark a nationwide tour in July recently. Okay, so basically from this tour as well, right? The I would say the end goal is to gather um, what are their views on vape as well. So we engage around approximately 5,000 adult vape users, and then we want to gather their behavior, their consumption pattern, and what kind of nicotine level that they like and stuff like that. So from this 5,000 engaged adults user, we also run a survey, and then from this survey, this is the main thing about this tour as well. We run a survey, and then we garner around 708 respondents from this. It is quite a huge number as well because we went to vape shops, we ask opinions, we run these surveys, and then of course we want to know what they think about GEG as well. So I will read the number as well, right? Because I'll do some sharing on this number as well. So based on the survey, we came across a couple of I would say takeaways, interesting takeaways, right? So from this survey as well, right, vape user in Malaysia do not support GEG. So they prefer more like a balanced approach, one that acknowledge the harm reduction potential of vape, uh, but also they want to have the implementation of the right regulation to ensure the product safety. So this is the interesting takeaways when we run this survey as well. So based on the numbers as well, 96, hold on, let me read the number here. 96.6% of respondents do not agree with GEG. That's a high number. Uh, and then 73.7 of respondents were ex-smokers, with 80.1 switching to vape as it helps them quit smoking. 75.8 understands the concept of tobacco harm reduction (THR), and 85.8 believes cigarette smokers should be educated on THR. This is the most important thing. They do believe in this. And 84% support vape regulation that are differentiated from cigarettes. I think this is the conversation that we had last time, because it's they equates the cigarettes and vape as well. So we got this number from our survey.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. That's really exciting. I didn't know about the survey, and definitely those numbers and answers and results you got are very, very interesting. I would like to move on to Tarmizi and ask Tarmizi, because I know that you've been working also a lot with policymakers about GG and writing a lot about it. So, what have you been up to, and how does this experience look to you by now?
Thank you so much, Lisa. I think to begin with, to answer the question, actually, it's not an easy task because in Malaysia, not many policymakers are willing actually to talk about the topic openly. As you know, in Malaysia, I would say we don't have equal level playing field to speak about the issue from a safe public policy discussion point of view. For instance, like if someone, especially the MP or a MP that wanted to say something regarding the topic or regarding the issue, they will be blamed. They will be blamed by the other people or public openly. Even though they are trying to explain it in the point of view of public policy discussions and how the impact is gonna be and how the in terms of the implementation challenges that will be happen and 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 I think we one of the challenges as well that we need to identify that the MP that understand the evidence based public policy, because I think not every MP know the importance of evidence-based public policy. Of course, I think we all agree that smoking is something like not healthy for your life or for your body, and but however, how through or via the public policy we can decrease or reduce the number effectively, and we need to understand from the perspective of evidence-based public policy. We have a lot of studies has been done internationally and also globally. So we trying to bring the ideas and the evidence from the experience from the other countries to be as a lesson in our country, especially in Malaysia. So it's not everyone could understand that because I think when sometimes MP or the policymaker they need to take care of their image. They don't want to intervene with any kind of polemic issue that they couldn't answer after that. And I think this is the real issue that happening in my country. And I think another one is not every MP interested in this topic because they think this issue is not related to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, sorry, yeah, just want to because they think like this is not related to me, and I think I don't want to speak up about this. Okay, so I think this is one of the challenges as well that we were facing in Malaysia. But yes, we do manage to engage with several MPs that have a very good intention in public policy, in looking how the evidence-based public policy can improvise and can be implemented and should be implemented to reduce smoking rate in Malaysia.
Thanks, Termizi. I think that's kind of a universal issue that you're talking about with policymakers, and not only in Malaysia, but generally. I probably it would make sense to also explain what the GEG is for some listeners who might be hearing it for the first time, because we're talking about the public health issues and policies and how they should be implemented. But in a specific case, what was proposed? Could you please explain and elaborate on that?
Yeah, thank you so much again, Eliza. So I'm gonna explain a little bit regarding the generational endgame. So the GEG stand for generational endgame that has been proposed by the previous government last year. So now since November 2022, we have a new government, and also still keep the propose the same things that those who born from 1st of January 2007, they will be banned from consuming vaping and smoking. So this is gonna be like the first happen in Malaysia, because previously we never have any kind of law that differentiate these two generations. Well, of course, we do have uh, a regulation restricted minors from taking or consume these things. For instance, like below 18 could not consume this, and I think it's quite universal around the world. So I think it should not be a problem. But however, this is no longer regarding the age restrictions, but it's gonna be the generational restrictions. For instance, like I'm 27. For instance, sorry, I was born on 2007. Meanwhile, Khairil was born on 2006. For instance, he can consume, meanwhile I couldn't consume, but we are staying together, for instance, and we are socializing together. So can you imagine, I can simply just look at his face why he's taking the consuming these products. So I think we need to understand what actually behind or the cause of this problem. Yes, we agree that the cigarettes or the smoking is something like um, could harm yourself. So that's why we are proposing the idea that we need to implement the tobacco harm reduction and adopt the tobacco harm reduction approach in our country. So this we do have like several activities in Malaysia. Previously, we have organized roundtable discussions. So we invited various background of people, uh, former policymakers, also was one of the MPs that have been involved with the previous uh, special select committee, parliamentary special select committee that discuss about the bill. And we also invited economists. We do invited medical practitioner. So this is and later on the discussion that we also, sorry, we also invited retailers who have actually the one who need to implement, the one who need to implement as in on the ground. Can you imagine that? So one of the uh, opinion that we got from retailers, actually they said why the government impose the responsibility of enforcement to the retailers. So it's gonna be hard for them because that will be not their necessary or their responsibility to see their IDs, for instance. So these are the challenges that will be facing by the retailers. So as I mentioned just now, we organize a roundtable discussions. So we make a report, and later on we submit to the governments agencies with several ministries, including finance, including health ministries, and also prime minister office. And also we have been called by the uh, s- sorry, special select committee on health, under the parliament, Malaysian parliament. So we presented our proposal, and also we presented our research that uh, we are looking forward to be, for instance, like tobacco harm reduction, and also we propose some guidelines regarding the regulations that uh, they wanted to impose to the people. So this actually, yeah, of course we have a lot of activities. We write some articles, we do engagement with medias, but as I said, it's not an easy thing, and it should be continued from time to time.
Definitely. And thank you so much, Tarmizi, for explaining to us how your work process looked like and what the generational endgame bill is all about. Khairil, I just want to get back to you and also ask you what would be your take on this? What challenges, if so, would vape community face in case this generational endgame bill were to be implemented?
Okay, I think from the consumer point of view as well, right? I think GEG. Don't get me wrong. It is symbolic. It is actually good, but there are so many flaws. It needs to be implemented correctly. It needs to have the right method on tackling this issue as well.
Hi everyone, hold off on the vaping for a second. We've got something very special for you. You ever have that feeling when someone's always saying don't do this, can't have that? Well, Fun Police is a podcast that is all about that. People trying to ban what you enjoy, from a beer to a piece of chocolate. It's delivered by the Consumer Choice Center. It's a 5-part series, and it digs deep into why some people so desperately want to ban our fun. Well, Fun Police is easy listening and it's coming your way every week. Now just get ready for a quick preview.
Did you vape today? Or drink? Did you have a beer, a glass of wine, place a bet, or eat chocolate? There are activists out there who believe that you are hurting yourself, and that for the sake of the greater good, you should be banned from doing it. These activists are neo-prohibitionists. They don't believe in your right to choose, and they have big budgets to lobby governments to restrict your lifestyle. And their actions have real consequences.
Prohibition of something, whether it's riding without a seatbelt, whether it's selling cigarettes, this creates new opportunities for citizens to interact with the police.
Garner, who had been accused of selling cigarettes illegally on New York's Staten Island, seen here being taken down by NYPD officer Daniel Pantaleo.
So this Orwellian-sounding FCTC is about benefiting the black market and making poor people pay.
I listen to people saying, oh, we don't want to tax the poor. Well, we want the poor to live longer so that they can get an education and enjoy life.
This group took public money to create a pseudoscientific amalgamation of studies with low scientific validity to lecture you about having more than 2 beers a week. I think anybody here can see through the nonsense.
Fun Police, a 5-part Consumer Choice Center original podcast, uncovering the prohibitionist movements seeking to ban it all. New episodes dropping weekly wherever you get your podcasts.
And then, like what Tarmizi mentioned earlier, right? They target those who born in 2007 and beyond. And then if, let's say, I am born in 2006, yes, I can freely smoke in front of Tarmizi, but Tarmizi, is like couldn't do anything about it. So, and then what if I pass my ID to Tarmizi and then Tarmizi go and buy it? So that is the kind of flaws that we are asking them to check and everything, right? Therefore, it's like this is like a discriminating of an entire generation, I would say, from 2007 and beyond. That's a huge year ahead also. And then by treating these two groups based on their birth year, right, it is also a clear act of discrimination of principles that we have here as well for equality and fairness. So this is one of the examples that how GEG is laces with issues here. But also with GEG also, let's not forget the impact of GEG that it will have on retailers, like Tarmizi mentioned just now, like retailers, like workforces, and also the consumer safety. And then where is the safety of consumer as well? And then from the perspective of consumer, I would say the current GEG, which at the moment it's being paused, I would say, to be tabled into 2024, right? So it is undermine the harm reduction property of vape. And then also it may discourage smokers from switching to less harmful alternative. It's like they don't have any choice. So if, let's say, they think, oh, basically vape and cigarettes are the same, then why should I switch? So this kind of information also needs to be out there. So, and then earlier also, it's like Tarmizi mentioned, we were called into parliamentary meeting, and then we actually tabled the survey that we found earlier as well for them to see, to know what is people are talking about it as well. So this is how we want the government to know what the consumer are talking about.
Thanks so much, Khairil. I think also it makes sense to mention that this kind of policy would cause the illicit trade, and that's what you guys mean probably under consumer safety and them accessing different types of illicit goods then, right? Because they would still access the goods, but from black market. That's what would change. And recently we were talking about the same legislation in the UK, and the people who I was talking to said the same thing, because these kind of approaches, they cause or result in a very same thing and work in the same pattern. Tarmizi, I think you talked about Khairil. I don't know if you wanted to add something. Uh, you're on mute. We cannot hear you.
I accidentally click my mic.
Okay, that's okay. Just making sure I don't miss out on your opinions. Termizi, I want to get back to you with another question, because you basically described to us what your working process looks like and what you have been doing. But let's move on to the part where actually the GEG was withdrawn, where we can celebrate this for vaping community in Malaysia. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more, what was the shift like? So why did policymakers change their mind?
Since beginning, actually, this bill never get full support from the politicians, either from the government side or the opposition side. Uh, Even among the government and also among the opposition, they divided in terms of support this particular bill or the GEG bill. It because a lot of issues and also concerns that has been raised regarding the bill itself. So that's why if you look the process of the bill is quite uh, confusing and quite what we call it unprecedented, because previously usually the bill that been proposed by the government will be easily passed by the parliament, because you have to understand the government have like some sort of majority MPs and numbers in the parliament. But however, only this bill, actually you can see it's really hard from the government side that receive support from the government MPs itself. So that's why you can see from the first reading and later on they pass to the parliamentary special select committee, and later on it's supposed to be tabled in the parliament, but however because of the last election there is a transition of the government and we changed the government, we have a new government. So the government also wanted to table it like few times and suddenly only like able to table for first reading, and later on come back to the parliamentary special select committee, which never been done twice in our history. And later on supposed to be being tabled like in the first week of the parliament October sitting. We have sitting right now from early of October until like end of mid of November. But however, we never the bill never get passed to be tabled in the parliament. So you can see how the process is really complicated and um, a lot of obstacle that we think that oh, it's gonna be passed, it's gonna be tabling anyway, but suddenly it is not. So from the process itself, you can see how the support from the MPs actually are not solid, uh, even from the government or from the opposition side. That's one thing, and we have to understand actually this is not the only initiative that we see in terms of make Malaysia free country for especially. We do have previously Penang smoke state, for instance. They wanted to implemented the policy. They wanted to make sure that Penang's one of the state in Malaysia will be free from smoking. But however, in terms of implementation, we can see how the lot of conflict. Who gonna be implemented? Who gonna be make fine to the public or to the smoker, for instance? So either the what we call it, the municipalities officer, or the local government officer, or the police itself. So there is a lot of flawed and also issues in terms of implementing that particular things. And I think because of that, and we, as you know, Malaysia is one of the highest illicit trade on tobacco in Malaysia, in around the world. So we couldn't solve this issue yet. And one of the thing that will be one of the important fact that we need to uh, realize that it's gonna be worse if we implemented it. And the final one, I think, we has spoken this we have spoken about this thing actually quite frequent, especially in term of the uh, the bill itself. The ban on generational endgame is actually, it's again the constitutional, uh, the federal constitutional spirit. So but we write a lot about this thing. There are several lawyers who are talking about this thing, and we do have former AGs or attorney general that actually raised up about this issue. And the only reason why the bill are not tabling recently, it's because of the current AG say that this is actually against of our federal constitution, of Article 8, which the everyone should be equally treated by the state. You cannot differentiate which give one particular group what we call it, something like benefits, and you taken it the benefit from another group of people. So you cannot do that. You should treat all of them equally. So that's one of the biggest reason why suddenly government change their mind and withdraw it recently.
Thank you so much, Tarmizi, for elaborating on this. I'd like to get back to Khairil now and ask, what do you think, and what type of future expectations do you have for vaping in Malaysia now that the GEG is withdrawn finally?
Okay, I think since the bill will likely to be tabled in 2024, which I believe that it is also a good move, so that we have a lot more time to do something about this. We can raise our voice. We can actually work with government agencies as well to find the good solution for everyone. So we are hoping that the government can look into regulating vaping differently from tobacco product. This is the most important part, because as you might know, it's like everybody uses vape to quit smoking, right? So because vaping also has been scientifically proven to have, I would say, it's not like zero health risk, but it's fewer health risk compared to tobacco products, right? To the other tobacco products. Therefore, they should not be categorized under the same category as cigarette as well. So I think another thing that we would like to know is like we urgently need we urgently need the regulations, and then um, we want to prevent any sales to individual below 18 years old as well. So this is also to introduce safety requirements to protect the consumer, because at the end of the day, the consumer will suffer the most. Whatever it is, the consumer will suffer the most. And it is also essentially important to, I would say, promote harm reduction in effort to help smokers transition to less harmful products. It's not that we totally did not support whatever the government is doing. We just need to know what's fair, and we want to have vape as to promote vape as harm reduction tools as well. Yeah. So that's what we are hoping for here.
Thank you so much. And hopefully the withdrawal of GEG is the first step, and then we'll see more and more progressive harm reduction strategies implemented in Malaysia. And we're moving to the final part of our interview. And as a last question, I could start with Tarmizi. What would be your message to vapers and advocates worldwide? Because Malaysia at the moment recently had a big win, and you put a lot of effort in it, and that should be an inspiration for the rest of the vaping community. So I'll let you spread your final message to the consumers and vapers who are listening to us today.
Definitely, we still have a long way to go, because this is not something like uh, it's something like it's a big win, but I would say it's not something like every single country will be facing the same thing. We do know that there are a lot of myths against the vaping and also the vapers community. And so I think this is something like we really need to taking it seriously, because uh, we have to understand that actually the issue that happening around the world, the message about the tobacco harm reduction must be heard loudly by the global community. So that's why I said, for instance, like, yeah, we do success in Malaysia, we did success in Malaysia, but I think we really need to continue work on promoting on consumer safety, and responsible consumer, and also the responsible vapors. I think this is really, really important. And another one is, I think that we really need to continue our works. All right. We need to engage more people. We need to share our success story in Malaysia, because I think this is really, really important. And recently, that what we can see, what happening in UK right now. Can you imagine one of the best country that have reduced the numbers of smokers suddenly wanted to improve, introduce this kind of policy? So you have to think like this can be happen like in many countries or anywhere. All right, so it can be happen in anywhere. So that's why we really need to properly document, as vapers advocates. I think we need to properly documented success story, and also like study case that about how, what is the best solution to reduce smoking rate, in around the world. That's one thing. And the second thing is how we can, uh, how we can, by using tobacco harm reduction, it can be one of the best or strategic, one of the best solutions that can be implemented or adopted by the government to make sure that this smoking rate can be reduced. So I think, my last word will be like, we need to continue work very hard to make sure that our message hear loudly. And another one is, we have to make sure that the myth that's spreading around the world, that need to be taken down by speaking, and bringing our success story uh, globally.
Thank you so much, Khairil. I would also like to give the floor to you for your final message to the vaping community.
Okay, like Tamizi mentioned, you mentioned it earlier, Lisa. It's a big victory at the moment. Yes, I would say it's a big victory, but the battle is not over yet, because in a way we win. At the moment, we win one thing, and hopefully we will win more. But this is, for me, it is just the beginning to show the world that okay, we are progressing also, and then more needs to be done for the local vaping community so that we get the proper regulations implemented. And also it is time to fight all the myth, like what Tarmisi mentioned earlier, and then to educate, to give the correct information on vaping, to let them know like what vaping can do to help you smokers as well. And then I would say the last message that I want to send to everyone as well. I mean, in Malaysia, we work together, and as a whole world as well, we can work together with everyone, so that the victory is for everyone around the world, the vapors around the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, both of you.
Can I
Yes,
add something,
yeah,
Lisa?
Sure.
sure.
Okay, sorry to, I would like to emphasize, and echo what actually Khairil say regarding the, yeah, this is a victory, but however, we still lack of regulation in proper
Correct.
regulation in Malaysia. So I think to make sure that the myth uh, can be reduced, or at least can be solved, it actually by introducing proper regulations that that actually regulate the vaping product, right?
Yeah.
I think this is really really important, because with the missing of the proper regulation, actually you put consumer in danger perspective, and also
Correct.
in danger conditions. So I think yes, we do success, Khairil. We managed to remove the generational endgame,
At the moment.
generation clock at the moment. But however, we're still missing the proper regulations in Malaysia. And I think this gonna be the next step that we need to do in Malaysia, to make sure that we have a proper regulation and proper
Yeah.
structure of regulation. Thank you.
Everyone will have to work together.
That's great. Thank you so much, both of you, for the interview today and for your insight about Malaysia. It's been a pleasure. I hope our listeners also enjoyed it. And I would like to thank everyone who was listening to us today. And just remember that we will be back with a new episode next week as well. So stay tuned and vape on.